Okay, so welcome everyone. Welcome to the first installment of our two-part webinar series, Sustainability in the Age of Digitalization. The purpose of this webinar series is to explore how sustainability fits into the digital landscape and how data-driven companies can leverage information management to move towards more sustainable systems and practices. This event is co-hosted by Share PLM and QCM. I'm Maria Morris from Share PLM and I will be your host for this event. I'm going to do a quick introduction and then we'll get into the presentation. So Share PLM is an independent consulting firm accelerating companies' PLM transformation with a people-centric approach. With a focus on simplicity and user experience, our team helps companies connect products, people, and processes to take you and your team to the next level. At Share PLM, our team is made up of a unique combination of strategic advisors and practitioners with hands-on experience, united by a passion for all things digital. In this event, Sustainability in the Digital Age, Martin Lundqvist, a Senior PLM Consultant at QCM, will delve into the ways in which we can leverage technology within information management and connected fields to create smarter and greener practices. QCM is a management consulting company, highly skilled and experienced in information management and the different steps within digital transformation. Martin himself has an accomplished background in this field. He received a PhD from Lund University in astrophysics before beginning his career as an information management architect and data analyst. He began his current role at QCM as a Senior PLM Consultant in 2018. And since then, he has worked on various PLM projects in a variety of industries, ranging from construction, electronics, furniture, and food. In this session, we will discuss the relationship between sustainability and data, the connection between digital maturity and sustainability, the level of involvement and collaboration that it takes for a company to work efficiently while prioritizing sustainability. And finally, information management and digitalization as a basis for sustainable practices. At the end of this session, we'll have time for a Q&A. So you can ask any questions at any time during the presentation just by using the Q&A panel at the bottom, which I think is working okay. And we will answer any questions that you have at the end. So without further ado, I will let Martin start this great presentation that we've prepared for you today. Martin, whenever you're ready.
Yes, thank you, Maria. Hello, everyone. I hope you're well, and I'm well here, so it's going to be fun. Let's start with this webinar, and I want to start with just setting our scene, put down the foundation about how we think about sustainability. The UN Brundtland report defined the sustainability as meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. It's often described standing on three pillars: the ecological, the social, and the economical sustainability. In this webinar series, we will focus on the ecological part. The use of good information management and digitalization is already driven by the economic benefits. We will see that there can also be benefits for the social sustainability, and I will briefly mention that in webinar 2. Let's first look at some of the areas where we have sustainability problems which need a solution, and where knowledge and information is key for doing things right. Let's start with waste. We have a global problem with waste, as you know, where plastics in our oceans are one significant part, and we need to reduce the amount of waste in general. We need to use less material, increase reuse, refurbish, and recycling. To accomplish this, we need to design our products with the material life cycle in mind. For this, we need access to up-to-date information about available materials, their physical factors, and the material life cycle from mining or production processes to recycling possibilities and waste treatment at the end of life. Then we have the climate issue. It's probably the most publicly discussed subject within the field of sustainability. We can clearly see the climate changing, and we know we are causing the change. We need to stop using fossil fuels and reduce emission of greenhouse gases in general. To support this goal, we need to first know our impact and where it comes from. We need to know how much greenhouse gas emissions a product is causing and where in its life cycle. Is it during production or maybe when being used? When we know this, we know what changes to priorities during design. Additionally, we also need trustworthy information on greenhouse gas emissions through the whole supply chain to the end of life treatment of all the parts of the products also. Food production is another major topic within sustainability. We all need food, of course, and food is nice. And there is many of us, but food production is leading to several different environmental problems, such as greenhouse gas emissions, pesticide use, killing insects, over-fertilization of lakes and oceans, land use pushing away natural biotopes, and so on. There's no simple solution to this. Agriculture is extremely complex when you start to broaden the scope. This complexity drives a need for connected information solutions through the agricultural supply network, and also connected to geographical differences. We know that no two farms have the same condition to work with, and the conditions will vary with time. The last one I want to bring up here is petrification. Water and land is being petrified from many sources, such as many kinds of products, production, waste treatment, pharmaceutical use, and so on. As with the other topics here, to be able to change, we need up-to-date information where these petrifying chemicals are used and how they affect our environment. If we know this, then we can start designing our products to minimize the use, or in the case they must be used, we have the knowledge where they are found, so we can take care of them and at the end of life of a product. Of course, there's certainly more important topics within sustainability, but I chose these four as examples. And as I know, there's a huge need of information for these four topics. Now let's look at what is done to turn this around. Sustainability is high on the agenda of many governmental bodies, but there are also many private and non-profit initiatives. The UN 17 sustainability goals is setting the scene for how broad the scope is. We have here also listed a number of initiatives, including both regulation, projects, and supporting methods. Several of the initiatives are kept under the EU Green Deal umbrella, where some of them will require an increasing amount of reporting, traceability, and transparency for companies, not only for companies within EU, but also for companies exporting to EU. The same goes for initiatives in other parts of the world. Some private and non-profit initiatives gives companies the opportunities to certify themselves, certify their products from different perspectives, sustainability perspectives. And there are also, of course, certifications such as ISO 14001, and they all require a good deal of information to be shared and a good control of your information. This list is not in any way complete and does not include any local initiatives. And I will not go into details on what each of them mean. I'm not really an expert in that field. What I want to highlight here is the extensive need of coherent and true information company needs to fulfill the requirement in the different initiatives here. And on top of this, on top of the governments and the other initiatives, we have one very important factor and a driver for sustainability. It's what every company needs, it's customers. An increasing amount of people want to make educated and sustainable choices when they buy products and services. To be able to give them choice, companies need to be transparent and to give customers true sustainability data. And faking it won't work in the long run. People are too smart for that. So to be sustainable in the eyes of government and the public, you need to know your extended corporation's impact on our planet. Now we have set the scene and seen how much there is that a company needs to think about regarding sustainability. Now let's look into digitalization. Digitalization can be seen as a step in a digital evolution ladder, where we move up in value when we increase the digital maturity. First, we have the old ways of working with paper. Everything is printed and kept in folders. Communication was handled by printed documents. Unfortunately, not too many are doing that nowadays. Most companies we meet are in the step number 2, digitization. This means that they have left most of the paper-based communication to the history books. Instead, they are using text files, spreadsheets, emails for storing, creating, and communicating information. The documents are still kept in folders, but digital ones, which can be shared. The sharing is not controlled, and many people end up having their own set of documents, revisions, and there is no information alignment or control. Digitalization is a different thing altogether. We're no longer storing all information in documents and spreadsheets. Instead, we store information in connected databases, where a piece of information is entered once in the system where it's mastered and spread to consuming systems automatically, and people can easily access the latest version. Information handling is governed by a set of rules and processes, and the business processes and the organization is designed to utilize the information value chain. The organizational silos are broken down. There is another step here, or actually more than another. But let's look at the digital transformation, which is also a popular discussion area. Digital transformation is the next level of digitalization. Now we're using the readily available information from the digitalization to enable services to people within the company and outside to the customers, adding value to current products or creating completely new products. When discussing digitalization, I should also mention product lifecycle management, PLM, since I even have that in my job title. PLM is digitalization and digital transformation of the product and portfolio space of a company, put it simply. It aligns people, processes, information handling, and tools through the extended life cycle of a product. And with extended in this context, meaning that I actually include a circular business model too. Also, some of you might heard of the expression Industry 4.0. I see this as the next step in this ladder. It widens the digital transformation to make use of technologies such as artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, and machine learning for improved design and production, improved customer service, and to extend the product life cycle, or actually adding cycles, looking at the circular business model. Industry 4.0 is a hot topic within the PLM community, since discussions are often focused on product life cycle and production. However, we will not discuss Industry 4.0 in this webinar series. So, okay, now we have seen sustainability needs a lot of information, and that the requirement from governments and customers will drive an increasing need of data and transparency going forward. We have also seen that what digitalization is. So now, what impact could digitalization have on our work with sustainability? So since I like diagrams, let's have another one. On the y-axis, we have the digital maturity. When digital maturity is low, your information is fragmented and the information overview is limited, leading to, in many cases, assumption-based decisions and low efficiency. Whereas high digital maturity give improved chances of making knowledge-based decisions. And you have good overview and much higher efficiency. On the x-axis, we have time. At least I feel that time is moving too fast, and I guess I'm not alone in that feeling. The blue line here represents a company which might be digitized, but has not taken the next step. If nothing is done, they will continue to struggle with their information, even if they can make progress by having individuals making their own work more efficient, but they will still work by themselves with their things. For the sustainability work, which is so information demanding, this company will struggle. Sustainability reporting will be tedious, and since information still is fragmented and not controlled, can they really know to what extent the sustainability improvement they do matter? This company probably would not want to be transparent for their customers. There's a risk that they will expose information which is wrong, and that could be costly if someone finds out. So let's do something about this situation and take control over the information, transform the company and utilize available technology. By having a well-functioning digital platform, implemented to support the business processes, and every employee in the specific role, people can have a seamless digital experience and with correct information at their hands when they need it. This would make working with sustainability a natural part of the daily job. Each person would have the knowledge they need in direct connection to whatever they work with. Reporting can be simplified since all data is available. You just need to define the report, or what to report. And as I said, time moves too fast. So any company should try to reach a significant digital maturity before the reporting and transparency requirements becomes overwhelming. So let's briefly look at who all these people needing the information within a company, who needs a digital work life, improved digital work life within a company. More and more companies are hiring environmental experts. Some of you might be one. You might be responsible for life cycle assessments, reporting, providing advice, and driving change. My impression is that the actual tasks of the role varies between different companies. Looking at the number of other roles that can exist within a company, and looking at some of their tasks, it's clear that all of them are working with topics that are affecting the sustainability. R&D designs the products, purchasing assesses and selects suppliers. Sales and marketing answers questions from the very important customers, and so on. All these people are led by a management team who are making decisions on a future path of the company. How does everyone get the information they need? Well, in the company with the fragmented information and generally low digital maturity, this is how it might look. Maybe you have your own experience of this. This is actually not the worst case scenario, but rather a much too common situation still in 2022, according to our experience. And it does not have anything to do with the size of the company. We have seen quite bad situation in big global corporations. In these companies, there is often information islands, double data management, information shared in documents and shared folders, maybe even printed by email or sticky notes. Different organizations are working in silos in their own processes and their own tools without connections. A quite common problem in this situation is document copies, which lives their own lives in their own folder, edited by different people. But what, for example, what if a document ends up at the customer? A while later, the customer reports a problem and refers to the document. But what revision did I get, and whose revision is it? Sometimes this only is causing embarrassment and is solved by making sure they get the new revised and reviewed document. But sometimes the errors like this can lead to big issues or even accidents. The document might have been a drawing for a vital part of the product security. Consider instead a situation where we have systems that handles information coherently according to a set of rules. The person who creates information enters it into the system suitable for them, and automatic integration transfers the information to consuming systems. Revising the information is guided by rules and processes. There is clear status indicators of the information. If the information is mature for a specific purpose, it's mature and ready for test, it's ready for production or for selling. And also how related information is linked and what status that information has. Ownership, revision, and status and other important metadata is included in all transfers between the systems. Let's look at the very short and very simple example. Let's say management wants a new product with a sustainable profile, and it should be CO2 net zero. The company has a clear product development process which connects all roles within the company who have anything to do with this product. It starts with management giving product management a task to start the project. Product management writes a high-level requirement. From these, R&D starts to work with the design. They choose material for the product which purchasing is finding a supplier for. Purchasing does a supplier assessment where they require full information on the material life cycle from the supplier. They want the material to be recycled, and they want it to be processed fairly locally as possible, using sustainable energy sources. Controlled water use, and they want proof of it. They enter all data into the system. In this system, all these pieces of information objects, are connected by relations. I haven't drawn the relations here because it will be a mess, but they are a vital part of building the information puzzle. Now we need to plan production, including, for example, production site, logistics, and warehouses, also connected by relations to whatever product they produce and ship and store. Each of these objects contain sustainability data, such as the CO2 emissions per produced or shipped product unit, but can also hold information on waste treatment, water usage, and why not log the working hours for employees. For these information objects, the sustainability expert, who have access to it all, can automatically do a sustainability impact analysis of some sort, create a report. Maybe it's an EPD, an environment product declaration, which marketing can use in their commercial they produce. The systems this company use could be, for example, a PLM, product lifecycle management system. It could be an enterprise resource planning system, the ERP, and a business intelligence system, BI. but it could also be many other types of systems, depending on what company it is and what product they have, and so on and so forth. And the size also matters. They are interconnected, automatically integrated. Of course, this is an extremely simplified example, but the situation is far from being a utopia. This is what digital mature company can achieve. So in the next webinar, we will discuss how to get there. We will discuss how information modeling can enable the understanding of how it all fits together within a company. We will show you what an information model can consist of. We will also see where all sustainability data fits into this, and how sustainability work thereby can benefit from digitalization and from PLM. We will also discuss how to start the journey. If you are in a company in the digitized world with PDFs and so on, how to take the next step, and avoid being overwhelmed by the amount of work it might require. It does require a lot of work, but you need to start it in a good way, then it will not overwhelm you. As a final note, this is what we consider the key takeaways from this. Working with sustainability is very information heavy, and it requires information from all parts of the extended corporation. Digitalization can make a large impact on how hard this work will be, and with a functioning digital platform and suitable processes, it becomes easier to make knowledge-based decisions. It's easier to comply with legislations and requirements, make reports. You can be more efficient and take sustainable steps forward in the process of becoming a green company. I hope you have enjoyed this first webinar, and I definitely hope to see you back next week for more on this topic. So now I'll leave back to you, Maria, for questions.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Martin. That was great. Okay, so we're going to take a few moments now to go through any questions that you guys might have for Martin. So if you haven't done already, please just take a few moments to write down a question and put it in the Q&A tab in the bottom toolbar. Okay, so the first question for you, Martin, is, can you give an example of suggested first steps towards digitalization and sustainability?
Well, the natural first step, I would say, is to look at where you are. Do a quick assessment to see what tools do you have, how do you work, do you have a process for your product development? How is that actually, is that in a silo that only R&D is working with it, or are you working together with different organizations? And from that, you can see where to improve. We will talk more about this next webinar, but one thing that is I don't recommend is buying a tool first. That could end not in disaster, but often is in much more work than expected. It's better to see what you need first. So that's a good start, I think.
Perfect. And has anyone else got any questions they would like Martin to answer? Okay, so how can somebody drive this change in their company, Martin?
Well, the driving, it's very much dependent on what type of company, of course, and how open it is. There needs to be someone. The management needs to be on track for this. So the management need to see that the change is needed, and they should start the journey and tell people that we need to do this. But then the actual change needs to be more driven by the users or the people on the employees, because they know how to work mostly efficiently. So what we do when we start projects at our customers is often we are interviewing all the employees from each organization and discuss with them what they think, how they would like to work. So a project manager in this field should start there and build a picture of how people would like to work, and draw that out as a picture, and then drive the change from the bottom up. That's at least my my feeling that works best.
Thank you, Martin. And another question is, what are the main challenges companies face when they want to become more sustainable using PLM tools?
Well, timing and resources is almost always a problem. We see that many companies, they want to do stuff, and the management is really willing to do stuff, but they don't have the resources because there's always something that is more urgent. A new product launch or some issues at the customer or something else. So a project like this needs people to be involved. You cannot only hire an external consultant and think that that person will just solve it. That person needs the resources to be involved. And that is one of the issues that we see from time to time, where we don't in our role as a digitalization and PLM consultant, we don't get the resources that we need. Sometimes we don't even get to talk to the right people because they don't have time, and that's something that I think is very important.
Very good. Are there any last questions anyone would like to send in? Okay, so Martin, your example mentioned that purchasing department would manually enter environmental information from the supplier. Is this typical?
Well, today I would say that they get the information by a document or something from the supplier. But what I see in the future, when the world becomes more and more digitalized, is that they will be connected, so that the supplier will enter the information into the system, and that is possible to set up too. There's many systems that support that, but it might be a supply chain, and then maybe you want information that the supplier gives you, and then we are looking at the more complicated digitalization. But it's I think that is the road to go for the future.
Perfect. And following on in this theme, what if a company has already got a purchase tool? What do you think would be a good approach to redirect their efforts?
Not sure what the question is, but
so if a company has already purchased their tool, what do you think would be a good approach to redirect
a tool and you,
yes.
There is also always, we have had that situation many times, and you can always start to do the assessment of your situation anyway. I would say that the difference being that you have to model the solution to a little bit suit the tool instead of choosing the tool that suits the solution for the company. So it's always possible. Of course, it might in some cases be a bit harder, but sometimes it works good. But there is also always this thing that you need to model the solution or processes a little bit towards the tool you have already, instead of working out what you need before purchasing the tool.
Very good. Another question we've received is, what key metrics might improve by using PLM to improve sustainability?
There's a lot of metrics that you can improve, but looking at the overall data and the information, the top metrics is being you have the right information. You have one source or one place you master it. So we often see less errors, less issues in general after implementation. There is less mistakes in general. Looking at sustainability metrics and data you can put into a system like this, there's really no limitations, I would say. That's all depending on the needs. And we will look more into the modeling of this, what data to put where and how it's all related in the next webinar. So.
Very good. And this is a question that has come up a few times. What is your recommendation to avoid deviation, and what are the several steps to succeed efficiently?
The deviation from not sure I understand the question completely, but
so I think in the sense of, if a company is implementing more, sustainable data management practices, what are the steps to avoid people deviating from this?
I think that one important part of it is to make sure that when the processes and the tools are implemented and so on, the employees are there. They want this change. Then, of course, the deviations will become less, because then they want to do the right thing, and it's easier for them to do the right thing. If a system is implemented that people think is tricky to use or annoying, well, then the deviation starts. So that's why we always recommend to have people from the different organizations in the project, so they already from the start understands the change and can learn the tool when coming to the implementation of the tool and so on.
Thank you, Martin. I think you've gotten through the majority of the questions. So what I will do now is I'm going to put into the chat the contact information for both Share PLM, QCM and Martin personally, so that any questions you might not feel wanting to ask here, you can send to Martin privately or get in contact with either Share or QCM. So I'm just going to do that now. For some reason, the chat function isn't working for me either. So I will email you all personally with all of the contact information, as well as a link to the recording of this webinar in case you want to revisit any of the points that have been discussed. And finally, thank you all so much for attending this first webinar and for listening. And we hope to see you all next week for webinar 2.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.